Hey, welcome back to St. Michael's Lent. I'm Shane Smith. I'm here at Franciscan University of Steubenville, Ohio to talk about vices and virtues with some experts. Today, I am chatting with Dr. Matthew Breuninger, who is a former associate professor of psychology at Franciscan University of Steubenville. He is a licensed clinical psychologist in a private practice at Wellspring Counseling and Coaching. He is also the author of a book, Finding Freedom in Christ, Healing Life's Hurts. Dr. Matthew Breuninger, thank you for being here with me today.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Now that we have all this formal stuff out of the way, we can talk regular style.
Let's get into it.
So we're here to talk about vices and virtues. Specifically, you've been assigned the vice of lust.
For no particular, randomly, I might add.
For random reasons. Yeah. It's so funny. Every guest I've had has been like, so, and which one am I?
Yeah,
What, you've assigned me what now?
Who picked these?
Well, I assure you, I did not pick them. But we're here to talk about lust, which honestly, I would say is, as a convert and someone who gets a lot of, I'm a public person. And as a public convert, I get a lot of people who approach me about their struggles in the spiritual life.
Absolutely.
And like advice to them as I've sort of like moved forward in my spiritual life, and lust is the number one. Everyone is struggling with lust, it seems. And so our society, it just seems like this ever prevalent problem, this sort of cloud looming over Western society, American society at large especially. What are your experiences with this?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think coming out of teaching, so I just left full-time teaching at Franciscan. And this is like the struggle that the college students have. It's super prevalent, right?
Right.
Pornography, masturbation, these are the struggles that get brought up most frequently. So it does seem like it's really common, it's everywhere, but that's also not super surprising. And I think one way to get into this is like, when you think about, so the Desert Fathers are kind of helpful here. So St. John Cassian has this progression of the vices. And he says that, now you have to like set the context a little bit. So he's in the desert and he's observing other men and women who are trying to live like radically holy lives. And he's like watching.
Yes.
Lives of strict holiness. And so what he notices is that when they allow their desire for food to like go beyond its normal bounds or rational bounds, he starts to see that it feeds into other indulgence. So the pattern of overindulgence in food opens them up to this overindulgence in sexual desire.
Yeah.
And then he thinks that pattern of overindulgence in sexual desire or lust then flows into greed or avarice. And so he has this sort of progression. But the reason I bring that up is because he calls gluttony, lust, and anger like natural vices. I think what he means by that is they're the vices that are unavoidable in this life. Like you have to eat.
Yes.
Like when it comes to gluttony, you have to eat. We're going to eat every day if you're going to live.
Yeah.
And so
they exist in the natural order outside of the concept of sin.
Yes. And so we have to come to terms with gluttony, with sexual desire, and with frustration around goods that we want. So that's where anger comes in, frustration of good. Like we're going to have frustration this side of the beatific vision. So in some sense, like I'm not surprised. These are such, in some ways it's boring.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, it's like, of course, lust is a struggle. Of course, it's just such a basic, everyday thing that we have to contend with. And so in some sense, do we have to contend with it? Yeah. Do we have to grow in perfection? Yeah. But it's not surprising to me.
Yeah, I see
that. Makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. It's almost like the cross, it's a cross everyone carries.
Yeah.
A burden that we all relate to.
Yes.
And there were like, there was a time, and I was not Catholic during this time, or Christian, however you want to say it, where it seemed like women were not struggling with lust, but men were. And then, of course, now we've brought into the light that no, all people struggle deeply with lust.
Yeah, I think there's been one of the more helpful movements for women in the church in particular is a deeper recognition and openness to allowing women to openly admit that they struggle with pornography, masturbation, etc. And so, I think that has been a helpful movement that has allowed women to step into places where they can get help, get healing, and get
Right.
freedom instead of having to pretend like it's only a male struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have to take responsibility for where we're at in our sin. So as men, we have to take responsibility for the desires of our flesh, for our overtuned sort of, sexual appetites or whatever these things. And then there's a role women play as well. And I think that they've taken responsibility for the role they play in their own lives and in our lives, and we have to do the same for them.
Yeah.
And that conversation is important, but it's still not had as much as you would think.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's a lot more work to be done outside of just like, hey, you need to stop looking at models on Instagram. Like, these are great. This is great advice. But there's this quote by Fulton Sheen right here that I want to read, that the only real escape from the demands of the flesh is to find something more than flesh to love.
Yeah. So I kind of want to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
That to me is awesome. And there's a way I think you can read this Fulton Sheen quote that I worry is like too limiting. So when we talk about, sometimes when we think about lust, we think about this language, the demands of the flesh. And so we think it's just about pleasure or it's just about sexual arousal. And what's really important is because we're human beings, there are no just animal desires in us. We're rational animals. And so that means that all of our desires are illuminated by reason, by rationality. And so what we have is we have human desires. Things like food, things like sex, they have meaning. They're not just we don't eat just to eat. We don't eat just for sustenance. We don't. Food takes on meaning. We eat for community.
Yes.
We eat for festivity. We eat because it reminds us, like that this cake reminds me of my grandmother.
Yes.
And she made it every Christmas. And
You can taste love in food.
you can taste love in food. And sex takes on meaning, right? And the reason I think this is important is because when we talk about just the demands of the flesh, it makes it seem like we're just after sort of a base pleasure. And I think the vice of lust, if we want to like really understand it, we have to understand what it is for us. What is the good that we're pursuing in it that's unique to us? So one of the things I get to see in my clinical practice is people might be sort of engaging in this vice, right? So on the surface, they're looking at pornography, they're masturbating, they're having extramarital affairs, But what I want to know, because it's almost never they're seeking just pleasure. It just isn't.
Yes.
What sex has taken on is a different meaning. And I want to understand, what is that good that they're pursuing? So for a lot of men that I work with, not all, but a lot, pornography and masturbation, lust, is a way to feel desired. When you scratch the surface of their lives, the good they're after is, they say something like, I never felt like when I walked in a room, my parents wanted me.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like a burden. I felt annoying. We had 12 kids in the family. I got overlooked. In the first place, you were meant to experience non-sexual desire, being desired, is from your parents. Like, when I walked in a room, did my parents look at me like, man, I want you?
Yeah.
And if I don't get that thing, I can go looking for that good, a good that I was made for, because I'm a creature made in the image and likeness of God. I'm valuable. I have dignity. Like, somebody should look at me like, man.
We have the intuitive sense that we deserve love.
Yes.
Or that, we were made for love.
Yes. And if I don't get that in some way, because of my family of origin, because of wounds, hurts in the past, I look for that good. And so pornography and masturbation can take on that meaning for me. This is a way that I get to feel desired. I get to feel like I'm wanted. And very often when it comes to lust, particularly lust that stays in the imagination, I get to avoid the pain of vulnerability.
The avoidance is what I, as a secular person and sort of in show business, what I kind of saw as a through thread. People were trying to forget themselves.
Dude, like vices and virtues are all about the pursuit and avoidance of certain goods.
Yeah.
Right? It's about the pursuit and avoidance. And I think what we have to figure out is, like, for each of us, what is the particular good that I'm pursuing in this in a disordered way? Or what is the thing that I'm trying to avoid? And so often, I think avoidance is a huge thread through the center of our lives. We want to avoid uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, memories, emotions.
Yes.
And lust can do that.
I think that's something that is an interesting point for especially men, but who knows who else, and that's where I speak from. But is lust is usually attached to this sort of escapism or whatever. And so people think, oh, I'm married, I'm not going to struggle with lust anymore.
Yeah.
But to make love in the marital act is to be seen completely and utterly, and that's terrifying. And if you're trying to forget, then that's not going to do it. That's why you're subordinate. That's why sex has become subordinated to lust and not love.
Yes.
So sex is technically separate from lust, right? Because you can subordinate it to one or the other desire. And so for you to sort of have that experience where, oh man, I love my wife. Why am I still falling to lust when I have, she has this access to help me? And it's because you yourself are wounded in such a way that you're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of confronting your own self. You're afraid of showing your wife your true self.
Yes.
And the way to fix it isn't to just sort of, well, I love my wife, I'll just be with her.
Exactly.
Or what? You need to accept that you have this problem.
Yes.
And then learn to see yourself and learn that you are a unique, unrepeatable individual, a child of God who is made for love. And then once you tap into that forgiveness and you put God at the top of your life, and then of course things begin to fall into place. But I think people so often think, well, I'm married, no more lust.
Oh, dude.
Or this or that, or maybe lust means I don't love this person, or lust means this or that. Lust means that you're wounded.
Yeah.
And that, you're struggling with something that is something all people struggle with. But to beat yourself up, to not try to heal yourself is the absolute wrong problem. So if you're listening to this and you struggle with lust in any way, and you feel ashamed of yourself or like you're failing others, that is what the devil wants you to feel.
Yeah, that's right.
He wants you to get into that self-flogging loop, this problem where you can't see the issue for what it is, and that you're not loving others,
No, dude, I think that's 100% right. And there's a huge part of the virtue tradition and the vice tradition that recognizes that this self-knowledge and self-awareness is crucial. Like this deep knowledge of how is my story, how is my family of origin, how I received love, how I was given love, how vulnerability was expressed, how we were able to talk about sexual desire, whether it was ever talked about. All of this stuff in my family of origin, hurts and wounds, etc. That stuff goes into shaping the expression of vice in my life. And so often I think vice arises out of our woundedness. Like our wounds are sort of this fertile ground for vice. It contextualizes them. Like it doesn't justify them. It doesn't mean like, well, it's not a sin because you're wounded, but it helps us understand how this vice is functioning in my life. And that kind of self-knowledge and self-awareness is super helpful if we want to overcome the problem.
Right.
But you're right that the devil wants, like shame doesn't help. Shame doesn't help.
Right.
What actually helps is love. And receiving love, not only from friends, this is why like having somebody who you speak to about these struggles can be incredibly helpful. This is why actually trying to practice pursuing the good that you're after in a less disordered way. Like if the fear is vulnerability, if the fear is being desired, having that conversation with your spouse, like sitting down and saying those words, like I'm so afraid of being seen. Using my imagination or turning to pornography feels safer to me. I'm so afraid of you seeing me and hurting me in my vulnerability because whatever, how I grew up. But that very act of even inviting your spouse into that conversation.
Yeah. Even if you can't contextualize it.
Yes.
Just to say, hey, I heard on this thing that this is probably springing from my woundedness. Yeah. I don't have it in me to tell you what wounded me.
Yes.
I don't know where I'm coming from, but it feels like this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Just to say that much.
Yes.
Is an incredible first step on a road to unlocking the true benefits of love and of being with someone and being seen in a very real and serious way.
Like the remedy, part of it, like when we talk about the remedy for lust, I think it helps to talk about like what level. There's levels, right? Yeah. You can talk about a remedy for lust on the level of just like psychological habit, cues, responses, and rewards. So like, is it helpful to take your computer out of your room if you're looking at,
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
rid of the queue, right?
Right.
That's on that level.
No phones at night.
Right. Like these things can be helpful. Are they enough? No. I think like getting into the heart of it.
Yeah.
Where is that wound? What is that good that my heart so aches for that's coming out disordered in this lust, in this vice? And taking the risk to step into that good in a purer, holier way, having that conversation with my wife, sharing my heart with her. I'm saying, I want communion with you, and I feel like we haven't connected since we've had our last baby. I just feel like you're not available and I'm busy. And I'm saying those words, letting her see that part of me. It's like love becomes, when received well, love becomes an antidote to lust at another level, you know? So you have the level of sort of psychological habit. You've got the level of love, this like ontological level of love or gift, like this JP2 TOB level of being received to the gift. But another point that I think you drew out that I want to highlight, the absence of lust is not the same as the virtue of chastity.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Just because you're not looking at pornography or masturbating doesn't mean you have the virtue of chastity. It doesn't mean that you've like integrated the sexual dimension of your life into your life well. It doesn't mean that you have the gaze yet of the other.
Yeah, because heaven doesn't want you to just abstain.
Yeah, that's right.
Abstinence is not enough.
That's right.
You are called to greatness.
Yeah. A vision to begin to see as God sees.
So for those of you out there who are listening, who may be struggling, gentleness, love, mercy for yourself. And when you fall, don't be trapped in that pattern.
Yeah.
Pour yourself out into God's mercy and love.
Yeah.
Wrap yourself in the mantle of Our Lady.
Yeah.
Pick yourself up and keep it moving.
Show the heart.
Show the heart.
From the heart. From the good we're after is deep and profound love. Show your heart.
Dr. Breuninger, thank you so much. That was really great.
Thanks.
Yeah.